Hi everyone, this is Val from EurekaCrystalBeads.com with another sparkling beading video. But before I get started, here's a quick reminder to check out our channel. And if you like what you see, hit the subscribe button and notification bell to be notified every time we have a new listing. Our project today is from the Paradise Aquatic collection, and we're going to be showing you a fun, quick bracelets on how to use our lava beads. So the products we're going to be using today from our Paradise Aquatic collection are a mix of crystal seed beads. Now these are random mixed. We have some, I think these are 6-0 seed beads, some 8-0 seed beads. These little apple green ones come from our collection, but not the other colors. These are 11-0s. We'll also be using some 6mm lava beads and some 4mm fire polish beads. Other supplies we'll be using are going to be some wire and 24 gauge, a jump ring, crimp beads. You'll be needing some fire line, some elastic stretch cord. You'll need a round nose plier, a wire cutter, and a flat nose plier. You'll also be needing a scissors. So I'm going to show you how to make these cute little sea urchin beads. And so for this particular size, we use 3mm bicones and 11-0 seed beads. But because they're a little tiny, it'd be hard to show you how to make it with the tiny beads. I'm going to show you how to make it with the larger beads. So I'm going to use some 6-0 seed beads along with some 6mm bicones. We're going to be using 5 bicones and 10 seed beads. So we're going to start off our project with 5 of these seed beads, and you're going to use a fishing line for each one or supple max type of line, and I'm using about 9 inches for each one. So I'm going to string up 5 of these seed beads, and what you're going to do is you're going to cross through that first bead added with your opposite end and just center the beads on your line. So now it forms this cute little circle of beads. So on one end, you're going to add on a bicone, a seed bead, and a bicone. The opposite line will cross through the last bead added, and you pull your line tight. So it creates like a little triangle. Now your line that's closer to that seed bead circle is going to sew into the next seed bead, which is this one right here. So sew right into that. Pull your line out. Opposite line that came out of your crystal bead, you're going to add 1 seed bead and 1 crystal. Just like that. Now the line that was next to your seed beads is going to cross through that last bead added. Pull tight. So now it looks like this. See the 3 and then 2 seed beads on top. Now that remember the line closer to the seed bead circle is going to go into the next seed bead, which is this one right here. Pull your line out. Opposite side, we'll have 1 seed bead and 1 crystal, just like that. Opposite line is going to cross through the last crystal bead added. Pull your line tight. Side with the seed bead circle, you're going to go into the next seed bead, just like that. Opposite side, you're going to have 1 seed bead, 1 crystal, and the opposite line will cross through the last crystal bead added. When you pull your lines tight, you see kind of an almost full circle of seed beads with this little opening. You're going to sew the line that's closer to that seed bead circle, sew into the next seed bead, which is this one right here. Pull your line out, sew into down into this bicone right here. So my line's coming out here. You're going to sew into that bicone. See, now it's open here. We need one seed bead to attach between these two crystals. We have 4 and we want to get 5 seed beads. So take one seed bead, add it to your line, and the opposite end you're going to cross into that last seed bead. So when you pull your line tight, it makes it a complete circle. It's a little wiggly here on the end. So on our little jellyfish, you didn't have to tighten it up. And it's kind of cute to have one bigger, one smaller side. It doesn't matter. It's up to you. You can tighten it up or not, or you can leave it big. So to tighten it up, you can just sew around all of the seed beads till you get to the opposite end. So you're right next to each other here. And you can tie this line into 2 knots. Or one complete knot rather. So just pull your line tight and then one more time. Pull tight. Now you want to make sure you don't cut right where that knot is. You always want to weave some of your excess line through your beads. So I'm just going to put it through at least 2 beads each. It doesn't matter which beads as long as it is pretty close to where your knot is, just so that you don't have to show a lot of excess line. Okay, and then you can just cut off the excess. So our little bead looks just like this. So now we'll be making the part of the jellyfish, of our tentacles from our jellyfish. So you're going to start off with a piece of fire line. I'm going to start off with 30 inches of fire line to do all 3 of my tentacles. So I'm just going to pick from my tray of random beads. And so I'm just going to, on one end of my line, string up one of the bicones. And then take my end and weave it back into that same bicone, and so it kind of creates this loop, and pull your line tight. Now with your opposite end, you're just going to sew right back through that bead one more time. Pull your line tight, and now you see that your bead is now locked onto that thread. So I'm going to add another one. So now I'm going to just add this next color. I'm going to bring it close to where your last one was. So I'm going for about 1/8 of an inch between of space. So I'm going to take my long end and sew from the bottom back up into that bead. Pull your line tight. And then do that once more. So it's coming up from the top. So from the bottom of the bead we added and up through the top, and pull your line tight. So you see how that one's kind of higher up? I want to bring it lower. So as long as I didn't wrap around twice, I can actually still pull my bead down lower. So once I've gotten it where I want, I can still go with my long end and sew in to join. So I'm going to do this one last time as my last bead. And you can use various sizes. You can even add seed beads to this as well. And pull tight. So now once you've done all of your strands, I strive for 3 of them. You just bring them all together. So bring all your lines together. So your long ends on one end, your shorts on the other. And at this point, you can actually decide if you want something to be longer or shorter just by pulling it. So I'm just going to go for this look here. So I have one strand that's a little longer, just a fun mix. So now I want to tie a knot right above my top beads. I'm just going to wrap around my fingers and just tie a knot and just try to bring it as low as I can so that they're all secure, just like this. And just pull your lines tight. So now we're going to attach our jellyfish tentacles to the eye pin. So you want to bring your eye pin as close to the beads as you can, and then you're going to want to tie your thread into a knot. And before you pull your line tight, you just want to make sure that it's as close to the beads still as you can. And then from here, I'm going to slip my pin into my jellyfish body and then add this bicone at the very top. Like this, so it kind of caps it. And then I'm just going to get my pliers and make an eye loop out of this. So bend and roll just to get that circle loop, and take your long end and wrap that around 1 or 2 times. From here, you'll cut off the excess of your wire, and then take your flat nose plier and just make sure you catch that little notch that's sticking out of that wire. Just make sure you don't have any pokey ends, and here is your jellyfish. So you can make these big ones and they can be pendants or big charms off of a bracelet. So now I'll be showing you how to string up a bracelet using our little mini sea urchin or sea anemone beads we made. And they're just really fun and colorful, like the Pacific Ocean where I live. And so I'll be starting off with seed beads. So I'm going to start off with an 8/0, a 6/0, and a 4mm fire polish. And so I'm using a stretch cord that is a 0.8. And I tend to leave my stretch cord long rather than cutting it short, just because I don't want my beads to run away from me, and I just think it's a little easier having more than that. So just keep repeating that step, and you're going to repeat the step until you have about 6 or 7 of these bead sections. So I'm going to go with 6 bead sections. If I want it smaller, if I want it a little bit bigger, then I'd probably do 7 or up to 8 on each side. And so each section looks like this. These 3, that's one section. So once I've strung up my 7 sections of beads, I'm going to start adding on my lava beads and my sea urchin beads. So start off with a lava bead, and then just start stringing up the sea urchin beads of choice. And you can pre-plan how you want it to be, or you can just let it happen, just let it flow. I have these dark ones, so I'm going to, because I have 2 of the same color bead dark, I'm going to try to stretch them out. I'm just alternating the sea urchin beads along with the lava beads. So that it looks just like this, strung up. So now I'm going to repeat this area here on the opposite side of my line. I'm just going to mirror it and repeat the same pattern, and I will be back. If you didn't want to use a crimp bead and you wanted to tie a knot, you'd just be tying a square knot over with your elastic. So just that's a half knot, and then the other side, and you just basically want to bring your beads fairly close together like this, and then pull your line tight. Okay, and then find which is the opposite way. So not like this, because that won't do. You see how it won't sit nicely? You're going to make sure your lines are pulling apart from each other just like this, and you're going to want to pull your line so that your knot gets closer together, right, closer to your beads. And then once you know that your knot is pretty close there to your beads, just like this, where there's not a lot of space, tug this just a little bit while you're holding your knot with your other hand. Just give it a little stretch, and then just make sure it's still nice and tight. Then what you're going to want to do is you'll pull both your line and your thread from inside your beads at the same time. So on both sides, pull that. You see how the knot just gets a little bit smaller? Okay, just like that. And then you want to put a little spot of glue. It's up to you, you don't have to, but often a lot of people do like to put a little spot of glue. So I'm just using some hypo cement that I had and let this dry. Once it's dry, you can take your scissors and just cut as close as you can to the bracelet, just like this. So now you have your little colorful piece of the ocean right here. And now I have my little jellyfish charm. So I want to show you how to attach a jellyfish charm. So I have just a regular jump ring, and I'm going to slip on the charm that I made earlier with my wire. And then I have 3 other bracelets I did. So I just did one solid strand of just lava beads. And then I have one that I mixed like some 4mm bicones with. And the one I just finished now. So from here you can decide which one you want to put your jellyfish on. So being that this one is kind of more simple, I'm just going to attach it right here in between my lava beads. I'm just going to slip it into the bracelet and take my plier and close it up. Just like that. Make sure your ring's nice and tight. And here's your cute little Paradise Aquatic Collection bracelet stack. Isn't that cute? Very colorful, just like our beautiful Pacific Ocean or Atlantic Ocean, wherever it's colorful, just like this. So all these supplies and more can be found on EurekaCrystalBeads.com. Thanks for joining us.